Okay, this is going to basically be in two parts. Oh, wait. My name's Ethan Davidson. I live in San Francisco. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is entirely stolen Ohlone land. So yeah, my talk is going to be in two parts. The first one is going to cover my activism in general, much of which she's mentioned. And then the second is going to be how I've tried to mix activism and Buddhism. Okay, so my activism actually started when I was 14, not 24. And but then it really started up, that was just one summer. Then it started up again in 1989. And I joined Food Not Bombs. That was the main thing. So we were feeding the homeless and getting arrested for it because we didn't have a permit, which they wouldn't give us one. And that went on for 8 years, hundreds of arrests. And we also fed activists at protests and so forth. And sometimes we took road trips to other political events, which is how I got involved in a lot of the other stuff. So one thing was the Nevada test site. So every spring for about a week, different people would come together and camp in the place in the desert of Nevada where they were doing nuclear weapons testing, and it's not far from Las Vegas. So I would feed people. I didn't get arrested. Most people did. They would cross into this military town called Mercury, which was illegal to do, and get arrested immediately. I just stayed in the kitchen tent, and they'd all be in a pen in the desert for a few hours, and they all get up out at the same time and come over, and they'd be really hungry, and I had to just, feed them. Okay, yes, Earth First, Judy Berry invited us up. So I participated in some Earth First stuff. Okay, it was Ecotopia Earth First, to be specific. Big Mountain, yeah, so Food Not Bombs went up and we brought food which was intended to feed at a conference. There was a land dispute between the Hopi Nation and the Navajo people. But a lot of that was fueled by Peabody coal. And so we were feeding people at a conference where Navajos and Hopi elders were meeting and trying to see their common cause. And so I wound up staying for a month and herding sheep, which is I'm not good at, and so, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Buddhism and activism, my experience. So I attended a Free Burma March in San Francisco, and they were talking, mostly they were Burmese, they were talking and they were chanting something which I didn't understand at first, but then I realized that it was the Heart Sutta. It was the Metta Sutta, the original Metta Sutta from the Pali Canon. And that impressed me and stuck in my mind. Okay, then in 2011, I got very sick and almost went to the hospital, almost died. And then I came out and Occupy was happening in New York and San Francisco and so forth, other places. And so that was very therapeutic for me to get involved with that. It's like, hello world, I'm not dead, I'm in the streets, I'm in your face, I'm still alive, yeah. And so, I had joined the Sangha in 2001. So me and a couple of other people in my Sangha were interested in doing something with Occupy as a group. They were holding a big demonstration, and the theme of the demonstration was that people from other groups would do small demonstrations within the big demonstration. So it was kind of a free for all, but yeah. So anyways, I suggested, hey, why don't we just chant sections of the Metta Sutta in English? So they agreed, and so we were going around chanting, may you be well, may you be happy, etc. And we got to this really area where the energy was really intense, really angry, and so forth. And, someone else said, where do you want to go? I said, okay, let's go here. And so these people who'd come from Oakland, which was the most radical chapter, Their thing was basically yelling insults at the police. That was like their whole thing. And they were showing up and they were yelling F the police and all cops are bastards and that sort of thing. Now, my feeling is if the police are brutalizing people, which actually did happen in a completely different part of the protest, but they weren't even there. If the police are brutalizing people, I can understand the emotional reaction to yell at them. But they were yelling at them when they hadn't done anything, just because they were there. And to me, that makes no sense, gives them no incentive to behave well. So we steered into this area and we started chanting, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. And the first reaction we got was shut the F up and F the pigs, like with a question mark, like, isn't that what we're here for? And but then somebody joined us. And then another person joined us, and then another person with a like mic megaphone with a sound system joined us, and so we were getting so the Oakland people just jumped back on their bus and left. So I thought, well, that was pretty cool. Okay, then and I taught the Metta Sutta. I guided meditation with a group called a subgroup called Happy Molecules within Occupy. Near the camp. Okay, and yes, we started a group called Environmental Action Group, and we were focusing on fracking really before it became a thing that a lot of people were focusing on. And then Occupy kind of dissolved largely over the nonviolence versus property destruction kind of issue. And but me and some friends formed another subgroup that lasted for years after called the Occupy Forum, which is basically just about lectures, inviting people from different groups to give talks and asking them questions and so forth. So I gave a talk called Buddhism and Activism. The history of Buddhist activism, the first 2,500 years. That was the topic. And my thesis was and is that Buddhist activism started with the Buddha, and continues on to the present day with lots going on in between. And so this talk, I gave it again, abbreviated version on a Zoom talk for my Sangha. Right now there's a debate within the Sangha about whether Buddhists should be activists or, not. And so my thesis is that there's a huge precedent for us being activists. And we are doing it. We should be doing it, in my opinion, a lot more. And we will continue doing it on into the future. And that's my talk.